think we've all heard it over and over and over again. You know what? I just match people's energy. There's no problem. I just match people's energy. But here is the truth. When you match people's energy, it's a sign of weakness. Yes, I said it. It's a true sign of your weakness. My friend, welcome to my room. Welcome back to With Karen D, the podcast, the place where we get real about one truth. Good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go out and get it. And today we are going there because I keep hearing people say this with pride. I just match people's energy. I'm not worried. You know what? If they're rude, I'm rude right back. If they're cold, I'm even colder. If they're disrespectful, I'll go deeper. I'll be disrespectful right back. And I need you to hear me clearly on this. That is not strength. That is not you maintaining your boundaries. That is not power. That, my friend, is reactivity. And reactivity really means that someone else is in control. When you match people's energy, you actually give away your power. When you match people's energy, it is 100% sign of weakness, your weakness. So today we're going to break things down. We're going to talk about why it feels good to match people's energy. We're going to touch on what's actually happening in your nervous system when you do, because that is so important. We're going to touch on how you unknowingly hand over your power over and over and over again. We're going to talk about how to shift from reacting to responding with intention. Now, if you know someone who needs to tune into this podcast because they are that match your energy type of person, I want you to hit pause right now. Copy the podcast link and send this to them ASAP. And while you're doing that, make sure that you make sure that you subscribe, and make sure that you let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Got it? So let's jump right back in. And I want to start with being honest. Right? A little bit of honesty here. Matching energy feels justified. It can feel so good. And I know. Someone snaps at you. My friend, you snap right back. Someone gives you attitude, whether it's in a social circle, whether it's in the office at work, you serve attitude right back at them. And sometimes they get an extra dose. In the moment, in that exact moment where you're serving it right back at them, it feels like you're standing up for yourself. It feels like you not letting people walk over you. It feels like you keeping it real. But here's what's actually happening. Your nervous system is going into a threat response. It jumps into protection mode. It gets heightened. So when someone's tone changes, when someone's body tightens, or a facial expression in front of you hardens, or looks mean, your brain reads this. I detect a threat. It may be a professional threat. It may be a social threat. It's just a threat to you. And your survival brain does not say, let me stay grounded and lead this interaction. It says this. It says match it. It says defend yourself. It says protect yourself. So in that instance, you're not choosing your response. You're mirroring their response. And that, my friend, is not self-leadership. That's your emotional reflex. It also means that you're human, right? However, you can intentionally choose to show up differently. Now, here's what's really happening when you match their energy. And this is a part most people never think of or aren't even aware of, which is exactly why I'm talking about it here today. When you match someone's energy, you're letting them set the tone for your emotional state. You are letting them dictate how you act. They walk in cold, now you're cold all of a sudden. You started the day good, but they walked in cold and you're matching it. They walk in tense, all of a sudden you're tense. They walk in and they're messy, they're chaotic. All of a sudden, you're chaotic. And you may have your own examples. I'm just sharing a few. But here's a fact. Who's leading in those situations? It's not you. They literally pulled the string and you moved. That means that your emotional state is being dictated by your external circumstances or someone's external behavior instead of your control, instead of your internal control. And the second your emotional state is externally controlled, my friend, your power is gone. It's zeroed out. Because here's the thing, power isn't volume. Power is not about dominance, no matter what you see on TV and how we've been socialized. It's not about winning an exchange. Real power is about self-regulation under pressure. The most powerful person in the room is the one who can choose their state, their emotional state, not the one who reacts the fastest. The most powerful person in the room is the one who decides that external factors do not get to dictate how they personally respond, no matter the type of climate. And this, my friends, is possible for everyone, should you choose to do the work and show up in this manner. I remember working with a client who had come to me and shared that his colleagues described him as a hothead. And I won't describe any further because I think we all know, or we all have at least one hothead around us. It's that person who, gets set off by little things and they can literally go from 1 to 1,000 in 2.2 seconds. That person. And it might be, for some of us, it's a family member. For some of it's a colleague. For some of us, it's a friend. It's that person where you feel like you have to be very careful with what you say or how you ask them questions because you don't want to set them off. So I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go back to my story. My client came to me and they wanted help to manage their emotions because they were triggered all of the time. And I remember the initial conversation and it went like this. I won't say their name. You're responsible for your triggers, not everyone else. You are responsible for how you respond. And your current habit is to react by matching other people's emotional states. That, my friend, shows me that you lack personal control. I have to tell you, he was 150% pissed off when I said that because he was a CEO. And he went on to tell me that he couldn't possibly be in such a high position and so accomplished and blah, blah, blah if he lacked personal control. And of course, I let him speak. I let him rant. I let him react. Now, after he calmed down a bit, I let him know this. I said this to him. You failed the test. I personally wanted to see how you would react when I said something that you wouldn't agree with, which is why I intentionally said that you lacked personal control. He paused for a moment so he could fully digest what happened because the fact was this. As humans, we can't change what we can't acknowledge. And that pause and that reflection is necessary for you to shift how you respond. I want to say F, the next letter, C-K to feeling confident. So today I'm going to talk about 5 things you need to really start doing if you want to build real confidence. If you want to build just sustainable confidence that you can depend on, the kind of confidence that shows up in how you speak and how you present yourself and how you move and in what you do say and what you don't say, in the way you lead, whether you have leadership in your title or not, and how you handle pressure. So let's get into it. And here is the fact and my truth about confidence. We've been taught confidence is something that you either do or don't have. We've been taught it's a personality trait, that some people are just born with it. And that is just not true. And I say it again because we misuse this language, and the language that we use is what we truly believe in, and it becomes a belief in our head, and we act based on what we've told ourselves and what we believe in our head. You cannot feel confident. It's not a feeling. It's all about your decisions. It's all about your behavior. And most important, confidence, true confidence, real confidence is about the relationship that you have with yourself. Confidence is your ability to trust that you can do something, not do it right, not do it perfectly, not mess up. Your ability to get in motion, which means this, it's huge. It means you don't build confidence by waiting. You build confidence by doing things while you are uncomfortable and proving to yourself that you can handle it. And we have all acted before we felt ready enough. And that's what confidence truly is about. So the biggest step here is really releasing the notion that I'm going to be ready soon and the feeling will feel better. Whenever we try something new, we go through a period of change. It will be uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable, I'm here to tell you that you are 100% okay. You're walking down the right path. Don't wait to feel it to do it. So let's jump straight into 5 things that you need to start doing. And this is what I do myself when there's times where I need to show up with increased confidence. And yes, there are times. But the first thing is this, and this shifted for me a lot. I believe that when we talk about confidence, we're often committed to the outcome. So here's what I want you to consider doing. I want you to stop committing to getting it right. I'll say it again. Stop committing to getting it right. I want you to change your commitment. I want you to change what you're committed to. I want you to commit to going all in. I want you to commit to putting your 100% effort in whatever you're doing, saying how you're showing up. This one is huge. It's everything. Most people tie their confidence to the outcome. You know, if it goes well, I'll feel good about myself. If it fails, I'll feel crappy about myself. So what do? What do people do? They hesitate. They overthink. They wait. But here's the big shift. You don't win when the outcome is perfect. You win when you show up fully and do the thing. When you commit to going all in at 100%, something shifts in you, something just changes in you, something powerful actually happens. Your self-worth no longer is tied to the results. You see, you either succeed and get what you want, or you learn something that you didn't know before. And no matter what you do, and I don't want to say win or lose, you either succeed or you learn something new. Both of those things, both of those outcomes build confidence. Fact, reality, I know you've heard it before, but I will say it again. The only thing we can control all the time, the only thing we have control over is ourselves. When we act, when we don't act, when we speak up, when we don't speak up. We do not have any control of the outcome in most situations unless we are the deciding factor of the outcome. So in most situations, when we're telling ourselves we need to quote unquote feel confident, I can't wait to feel confident, I don't feel confident enough, you're basing it on the outcome. I want you to be all in with yourself. Commit to taking the action, because that's a true win. When you do things over and over and over, the first time, it's freaking uncomfortable. The second time, yeah, it's still uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable as it was the first time. By the 5th time, listen, it may not be ever a relaxing moment, a relaxing conversation, a relaxing interaction, but it will always be better than the first time. So the first thing I want you to try, first thing I want you to consider is changing what you're committed to. Let go of the outcome. And the nice thing is, when you commit to taking the action, as soon as you do it, you've won. As soon as you've done it, you've started to build your confidence on a brand new level. So stop committing to the outcome. Number 2, I want you to try to, not even try, let me rewind that. Chicka, chicka, chicka. I want you to do things before you're ready. You will not feel ready most of the times. Things will grow with you. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel ready to speak up at the meeting. You don't need to feel ready to pitch yourself. You don't need to feel ready to ask for the opportunity. You don't need to feel ready to raise your hand. You don't need to feel ready, and this is a big one, to set your boundaries. Because true and real confidence is built when you say, I am going to do this even though I feel nervous. Every time you say that, every time you do that, your brain learns this. I can handle discomfort and still survive. And the biggest thing, and this is what I do, I've done with my kids. Sometimes I need to do for myself. And it's a tool that I have my clients use as well. When they're feeling like nervous and they're not feeling fully ready, I encourage them to say how they're feeling out loud, because it takes that nervous energy. It takes that false pretense that we've all made up in our head, that whole bad version of what could happen. It takes away the energy from it. It's not as heavy. So if you're feeling nervous, say it out loud to yourself. Holy crap, I'm feeling so nervous right now. Because you are just resetting your brain. Once again, here's what you're actually telling your brain. Here's what happens, with your nervous system. You're telling yourself that I can handle discomfort and still be okay. That's the foundation of real confidence. Taking a step forwards, doing that thing before you feel ready. And the reality is this, we've all done it before. We have all done it before. If anyone who's listening or watching this, if you've ever held a job before, you've gone through an interview process. And have you ever sat, in the waiting area, or if it's virtually online and you're in the green room or you're waiting for them to log on and your nerves are like out of this world and you're nervous, but as soon as they come on or they come into the room and your interview starts, you don't say, you know what, I'm not going to be good at this interview, I'm going to leave. You push forward. So you know how to handle discomfort. And I want you to take that same example. Like, I want you to recall a time, because this is a great tool. When you can recall and associate that with what's happening now. You have walked through uncomfortable situations. And my friends, if you're listening right now, if you're watching right now, you are still here. Use that as an anchor to remind yourself of what you can actually do, because it's not brand new. Stop acting as if you've never been in a situation where you weren't ready, or you quote unquote thought you weren't ready. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought you weren't ready, but you really excelled? Give you an example. I remember just working for an organization. It was a health charity over here. I'm over here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. For those who don't know, I'm Canadian. And I had prepared for a meeting. I was going to present on behalf of the foundation that I worked for. And I knew who was around the table. They were not necessarily my peers. I was in a senior position. I was a senior health partnership specialist. However, the people sitting at the table were CEOs of these big organizations. We had CMOs. We have vice presidents. And here comes Karen as a, senior partnership specialist, right? So going into that room and saying to myself that, holy crap, this is going to be tough. And I remember reminding myself as I was walking down the hall going into the boardroom that, Karen, if you say it's going to be tough, it's going to be tough. Just say what you are. And this is before I did my training in peak performance coaching, right? But what I did know is what I said over and over and over and over and over to myself became true. Or everything that I said to myself repeatedly was something that was solidified in my head. And everything that I looked at around me supported me feeling not ready. And what I leaned into is, I know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go in and talk about what I know. And I left it at that. I let go. Because factually, and even think about yourself in different situations, that's all you can be. That's all you can do is be yourself. And you just give them what you freaking got. Let go. And that's what I want you to commit to. The third thing is huge. The next one I want you to consider doing. Stop outsourcing your self-belief. Most of you don't even have a confidence problem. What you actually have is a self-belief dependency problem. Because here's what's happening. You're sitting there waiting for validation. You're waiting for the approval of someone else. You're waiting for permission. And there's so many people out there waiting for praise, to feel good about yourself. You're prioritizing someone else's opinion about you so you can feel good about yourself. And I want you to stop it. You only feel confident when people clap for you. Stop it. And on the other times, you feel insecure when people don't. My friends, I call that borrowed confidence. And if you're always borrowing confidence from someone else, there's going to be spaces where someone else is not there. And the truth about borrowed confidence is that it's unstable. Real, true confidence comes from self-belief. The self-belief that you generate yourself. So here's a question I want you to start asking yourself. What do I choose to believe about myself when no one is watching? Because that is the belief you need to have. That's a belief you need to have so it can fuel your actions, so it can fully fuel your voice. It can fully fuel your ability to show up strong in different situations, your presence. A belief is simply a thought that you keep thinking over and over and over again. So now's the time for you to start choosing your thoughts intentionally and start choosing thoughts that support you. Something like this is language that I've either used for myself or my clients use. Find the language that works for you. So language that sounds like this. I know how to figure things out. I'm fully capable. I know some stuff. And I trust myself. I know I can handle what comes my way. I may not know all the answers, but I can handle the questions that come. When you start talking to yourself that way, when you start fueling your own belief, remember, a belief is simply a thought that you keep thinking over and over and over and over and over again. So if you tell yourself you suck, that's what will transpire. If you continually tell yourself you're nervous, that's how you'll show up. But if you now tell yourself, you know what? A lot of things are happening around me, but I can figure it out. I trust myself. Like I said, I gave you my example. I know my stuff. I may not have all the answers, but I'm going in to present and I know what I'm talking about. That's where real confidence begins. The next thing I want you to consider doing is this. Train your body to support your confidence. And here is something that most people ignore. They ignore the fact that confidence is not just mental. It's physiological. So your body can either support your confidence or sabotage it 100%. When your body is in that whole stress mode, high cortisol, all of our breath gets shallow, or most people's breath gets shallow, our shoulders tighten, our voice kind of flattens, we speed talk because we want to be finished as soon as possible, and our entire energy really pulls back, it like shrinks. And then all of a sudden you say, I don't, quote unquote, feel confident. Here's what's actually happening. Your nervous system has become dysregulated. So the work that you need to do is train the body. Right? Before you walk into a room, before you speak up, before you have that conversation, when you're actually feeling nervous, the question is, what are you going to do physiologically? What are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to do with your breathing? What are you going to do with your body so you can calm yourself down, which will allow you to show up with increased confidence? You need to have a couple of tools and techniques in your back pocket. So try some of these. The first one is this: start to slow your breath. If you want to get your body and your nervous system into more of a relaxation mode, you want to exhale longer than you inhale. So for example, inhale for 4 and exhale for 6. When our exhalation is longer than our inhalation, we engage our parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and relax side of your nervous system, right? Another strategy is like just shake out and drop your shoulders. You release the tension from your body that you've been holding because you're nervous. Like, these are strategies that you can do and no one even needs to know that you're actually doing it. The other one is this: ground your feet. Put your 2 feet on the ground. If you have your legs crossed, like really plant your feet as if you're planting roots. It just anchors you in a strong position as well, engages your parasympathetic nervous system. The next one is release your jaw. When we're nervous, we tense up our facial expression, especially in our jaw. For some people, they even clench their teeth. You may actually realize that you're clenching your teeth as well. So you want to relax your jaw. The other one you want to do that engages your parasympathetic nervous system is this: hum a song that you like. Just whatever the song is, you're humming it, right? When you hum, you engage your vagus nerve, which engages your parasympathetic nervous system. So in short, when you do these techniques and use these tools, and you don't have to use all of them, different ones work for different people. So you want to cycle through and see which ones work best for you. So you can have, I always call it, when I work with my clients, we create their pre-performance blueprint, right? So before they go into these situations, they use a couple of these techniques. Use 2 to 3, not any more than that. But when you do something like humming, releasing your jaw, grounding your feet, dropping your shoulders, or slowing your breath, you signal to your brain that you're safe. And this then gives you access for you to be more natural, for you to show up as yourself. Your confidence lives in your state of being. One, what you're thinking, but physiologically, how you're showing up. That's what I mean when I say the word state. The last thing I want you to consider, if you want to show up with freaking kick-ass confidence, is this: you have to start keeping promises to yourself, no matter how small. If you don't trust yourself, you can't feel confident. You can't, I use the word, I'm trained as well. You can't show up with increased confidence. And self-trust is built through you keeping commitments to yourself. So every time you say, you know what, I'm going to do this, but you don't do it, you chip away like layer by layer at your own self-trust. If you say you're going to work out, and this is just an example, self-trust is everything. If you say you're going to work out, and, you know, when you initially said it and stated it and committed to it, it looked like you going to the gym and working out for an hour, but you've now come home from work and you are busted. You are super tired. It doesn't mean that you can't jump on the ground and do 100 sit-ups. That's you still not giving up on yourself. That's you still honoring your commitment. So if you say you'll wake up at 6 o'clock, my friends, wake up at 6 o'clock. Like I said, if you said you're going to go to the gym, but you can't make it because life happens. And that's the thing about commitments. Life happens, but we can edit things so it can still happen in some shape or form. If you say you're going to send the email, send it. If you say you're going to drink 6 glasses of water, don't go to bed without drinking 6 glasses of water. And you know what? And the reason I say that is because that's my thing. So as I work out, I'm a 6-day-a-week workout person. I aim to drink 3.5 liters a day, and I usually do that. And here's what happens for me. I don't like to drink water. I'm a tea drinker, but I consider tea different than drinking my 3.5 liters of just straight water. But I know for myself how many glasses that is. So as I come to the end of the night, I do a self-check, and I'll see how many glasses of water I'm missing. And I literally go over to the sink and fill up glasses of water, and I chug down the last, it's usually 2 to 4 glasses of water before I go to bed. So I do that in the evening. My friends, keep commitments to yourself. When you keep these small promises, you tell your brain this: I do what I say I will do. And that's the root of self-trust. And self-trust is a foundation. It's just that foundational, like, crux of confidence. Now, let me give you 3 contrarian ways to continue to build your confidence that, I don't know, most people aren't really talking about. And people call me untraditional for a reason. I want you to do this. And as you listen to this episode, it might sound, and I'm going to say it, Karen, sometimes you're a bit harsh, but you say it with love. And I want this to sound like a shakeup, because that's what this is. You've come to the With Karen D podcast, where we talk about good things don't come to those who wait. They come to those who go out and get it. So I'm not here to tell you those nice pussyfoot, pretty foot things. No, because I know they're not working. So here's what I want you to start doing. I want you to do it while you feel insecure. I want you to stop waiting to feel confident before you act. You have to become a different person to start showing up differently in different spaces. So if you're going to keep showing up like you did last week, you'll get the exact same result. Confidence is a decision. Confidence is an action we decide to take. It's not a feeling. I want to remind you about this. You have to get out of your comfort zone if you're looking for a different result. Perfection kills confidence. Over readiness kills confidence. You in action, you in motion, you saying yes before you're ready is what actually builds confidence. So what is real confidence? It's this. It's trusting yourself in those moments that you're uncertain. It's showing up even when you feel freaking uncomfortable. It's having tools in your back pocket, so when your body starts to sweat, when your heart rate starts to thump, when your shoulders are tense, you know what to do for you to reset your nervous system. It's about continuing to move, even when the outcome is totally unknown. You see, confidence is not loud, and I'll always say that. Confidence is having certainty in yourself, not meaning you know everything, but knowing that you're enough, whether you're at the table, at the side of the table, or behind the table. So let me leave you with this. My friends, you are enough as is. Stop wasting your time trying to feel confident. Start walking, start behaving like the person you want to become. Because every single time you show up, you follow through, you speak up, you move forward, you are building the evidence for yourself. You are building the evidence that tells your brain that I can trust myself. And that, my friend, is confidence. That, my friend, is real confidence. Thank you so much for being here with me on the With Karen D, the podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to like this episode. Tell me what your thoughts are below. Like, how do you show up with confidence when you feel nervous? Like, what do you do when you feel nervous? If someone you know needs to see this episode, please share it with them. Make sure to subscribe so every time we drop a new episode, you get the notification. My friends, good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who go out and get it.